Welcome back to part 2 of refinishing a little table from the garbage using milk paint. Now, something happened that I did not anticipate, something that has never happened to me before. The paint started to flake off when it was dry in certain areas. And when I looked closely, I discovered that it was in areas that I hadn't fully sanded, or where the sandpaper hadn't really taken off the previous surface, which indicates that the previous surface, whether it was a varnish or a shellac, it was too slick. It was repelling the milk paint. So if you want to make sure that this base coat sticks properly to your piece of furniture, I really would suggest priming it. Use a primer and prime it before you put the milk paint on. As I said before, I'm usually painting bare pieces of wood. Like this peg rack back here, I made this years ago, and that was just a solid piece of pine with shaker pegs that were also made of pine. Everything was unfinished, and I put the milk paint on, and milk paint always sticks to bare wood. So this is not a problem for me because I don't mind this look. The look is called Chippy, C-H-I-P-P-Y. That's kind of one of the looks that you can achieve from milk paint. But also, I'm going to put the final layer of black over this table now. So I've sanded it. I've really sanded it all over. Sanding took off the paint that was flaky, that had not adhered to the table, and it left the paint that was stuck in place. So I can see the areas where the paint has been removed. I've scuffed those areas up with the sandpaper in the hopes that the black will cover everything. But if the black doesn't cover everything in the end, I don't mind that. That is a look that I actually like. So this is an aspect of using milk paint that is unique to this medium, this chippy, flaky look, the look that it seems as though this thing has been sitting around for 100 years and has been out in the weather or beaten up, and that sort of shabby look is really achievable with milk paint. But if you don't want that, prime your surface fully, paint it evenly, sand it all down, and then do your final coat. I am ready to put on my final coat. As you can see, some of these places, from sanding, the gray came off, but now I'm gonna put my coat of black paint on, and I have mixed this up the same way that I mixed up the gray paint. I'm just gonna put it on the same way. And it seems to be going on nicely, but I will be able to tell how well it has adhered to this only when it dries. I think I need a bit more water in here. There. Table is completely painted black. I do see some areas bubbling a little. We'll see what happens. This paint dries completely flat, like it's completely a matte finish. So when all the shiny areas are not shiny anymore, that's how I know that it's dry. But I'm just gonna leave this overnight. The days are so short at this time of year. It's not that late and it's already dark. It's like losing light. It's a little hard to see. I see some areas that I've missed, but I'm gonna give this maybe 1 or 2 more coats of black over the next couple days. And then the final steps, the final finishing process. Once the paint is fully dry, your final coats of paint, then the next step is to smooth out the surface. And you can do that with sandpaper, like really fine grit sandpaper, but I actually used steel wool. So I started with medium grit, and then I went to extra fine. Rubbing the entire surface with steel wool kind of aggressively actually polishes up the milk paint in a beautiful way. I've done this before and just left it alone. Like after I've polished it up, I did that actually on this box. After I rubbed the surface with steel wool, I was really happy with the finish. It looks like it's been waxed almost, but it hasn't. It's just consolidating the paint, making it completely and beautifully smooth. And sometimes that's enough. We're not finished yet. The paint, once it's been steel wooled, has a little bit of a sheen to it. But I think what's going to be really beautiful is the final step of this process. Because the wood is actually kind of dark and the paint is black, the next step is going to forgive all my sins, so to speak, and it's just going to make this thing pop. And that step is the final step, which is oiling the surface. So I have a rag here, and there are different kinds of oils that you can use. There's tung oil, but these milk paint companies offer different kinds of oils, some of them mixed with pigment or mixed with a stain. And I'm actually going to use a dark oil. Shake it up real well. And I'm going to just now, actually, wrong. Before I oil the table, and oiling it is really going to be the final step, I'm going to rub the surface with a tack cloth. I did go to the hardware store and I bought a tack cloth. A tack cloth is just a piece of muslin that has been infused with a kind of gummy substance, and it does an excellent job of wicking off or picking up any dust or particles that remain on the surface. This is what it looks like. Tack cloth. I love these things. I've been using tack cloths since I was a teenager, as I started experimenting with refinishing things. Okay, so it's nicer to do this with gloves on because this cloth is kind of sticky. It's just cheesecloth. I open it up, turn it into a kind of pad. And go over the whole surface. Okay. Now I am ready for the final step. Putting on the finishing oil. This stuff is called an oil wax. Brush on a thin layer of oil wax over the entire surface, allow to penetrate for 15 to 20 minutes, and then wipe off. Let dry. Oil wax. Let's get a little brush. A little old cheap brush. Where's my little brushes? Find a little old cheap brush. Do I have one? I think I do. Here. Have a little jar here. Ooh. Okay. So it's tinted, dark color. You're going to see this just completely change. That gets brushed on. Now, I'm going to wipe it off. So if you want the milk paint to maintain its very flat, dull surface, just rub it very lightly with steel wool and then leave it alone. But there's so many options on how to finish the surface after it's painted. There are even these techniques where you can mix things in with the undercoat and it causes the overcoat to crackle. You can take a heat dryer to the milk paint and it'll cause it to crackle. So this stuff is so versatile. There's so many different things you can do with it. And it's kind of fun to just experiment, especially on a piece of furniture that isn't valuable and doesn't mean very much to you. Because if it doesn't work, you can just start over, repaint it, or take it to the thrift store. And there she is. Finished table, painted in milk paint, distressed. Now it just needs to dry, then it'll go back to its little corner where it lives. Milk paint. Closing thoughts on refinishing this table with milk paint. I thought I knew what I was doing. I've done this before. Most of the pieces that I've painted with milk paint have been raw wood, like where I constructed a shelf or a bracket and then painted it with milk paint. Only a few of the pieces I painted with milk paint had previous finishes on them. And that's the case with the table behind me. So I started the way I normally start, assuming that things were going to go as planned, and they did not. This process was kind of a disaster, actually, because that base coat was flaking off. I thought I could fix it up with the final coat of paint, and the final black coat of paint was peeling off as well. This did not go as planned. So with some of the things that I do, I think I know what I'm doing, and then the process shows me otherwise. And that's the case with this table. When I started this channel, it was with the idea of kind of metaphorically opening the door to my apartment and letting everyone in. I love my life. I love how I live my life. It has brought me so much joy to do the things that I do. And sometimes those things are a deep dive that turn into years and years and years of learning from experience. And then other times, I'm diving right in with not a lot of experience, and the process teaches me things. I think even if you're an expert, the process of doing teaches you. So yeah, I am backpedaling a little bit here to admit to you openly that this table sort of really kicked me in the behind. And in the end, with the final coat of paint, when I was sanding it, I was very unsure of whether I was going to like this thing or not. And after oiling it and putting it back in its place and living with it for a couple of weeks, I really do love it. It didn't turn out as I had intended, but I love the look. I thought I was going to be in total control of the process, and I wasn't, because the paint wasn't really sticking to the surface. There is this controversy with refinishing antiques. There's the school of thought that if you don't know what you're doing, you should leave antiques alone, especially things from like the 19th century and earlier. And I vacillate between that and the other school of thought, which is if you own the thing, it's yours to do with as you please. This table is not a 19th century table. It is a 20th century reproduction. This table was not made with fine craftsmanship like mortise and tenon joints or dovetail joints. It has pegs in it. The top of the table is just attached with brackets. This is a table that I don't believe has a lot of commercial value. I personally felt very comfortable with playing around with it. But I also felt comfortable doing whatever I wanted with it because I own it. So I just wanted to say that this channel is really about what I'm doing in my daily life. That's why I will never run out of ideas for videos, because I have a never-ending to-do list of things that are very creative, and that's just a part of my everyday life. Tomorrow I have to repair a pair of leather gloves that I like, and I have to take out the lining and put on a new lining. I have never done that before. I think I know how to do this. It seems fairly straightforward. These are the kind of things that I am doing regularly, and if I can share that with you and inspire you to go out there and take chances, or find an expert to learn from, find someone to apprentice under, then my work will have served me and you well. Thanks for watching.